What cheer, y'all? Welcome back to Reddit the Wire. Well, it's we're getting towards the Breeders' Cup, so things are settling down a little bit, particularly at the bigger tracks, because so many horses, the big name ones, are getting ready for the Breeders' Cup at the end of the month. But we do have a prominent Grade One at Keeneland on Saturday, and that is the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. It's a Grade One. Ninth race on the card, running a mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-old fillies, and this is a good one. You got a really nice field. We're going to go through them one at a time. I think we know who the two major players are. Opulent Restraint. I did not like the last race at all. Laura Lynn just seemingly toyed with her. She really didn't have any answer in the stretch, and it looks to me like this is a horse who isn't moving forward. And it's for Chad Brown, that's a little unusual, but I just didn't like that effort at all. And the fact that it was at Saratoga, that's Chad Brown's backyard. He loves winning there. I think the horse should have been ready for that race, and the fact that she disappointed, I think, is really a black mark in my view. Now, if you look at the race shape here, there isn't a lot of early speed, and so that does favor Opulent Restraint a bit, except for the fact you've got Lush Lips right on the rail. Now, Lush Lips, was a horse that we couldn't wait till she got away from nitrogen, and once she did, she won. This is a nice horse. I think last time uh, she was a little too far back, and I think she's more potent and is a better horse when she can control and dictate from the front end. And I think Lush Lips should be on the lead in this race. Is going to get some resistance from Opulent Restraint, but I think Lush Lips is definitely going to try to take them all the way in this one, and I don't think there's any reason that she couldn't, except for the fact I just like a couple others in here a little better. But Lush Lips is absolutely a horse that you want to use. Laura Lynn is my pick to win this race, and it's mainly from a tactical perspective. Again, looking at the shape of this race, you see there isn't a lot of speed early, so I think horses who will be closer to it certainly would have an advantage over those who will be coming from behind. Laura Lynn hasn't done anything wrong, obviously, 5 for 5 undefeated. The last race at the Saratoga I thought was very impressive. She just blew that field away. Is coming into this race in top form, and I see no reason to bet against her, mainly because again, she's going to be up amongst the leaders, and I think she'll have a jump on Fion and some of the other horses who will be coming late, and there are quite a few of them in this race. Simmering, I want to use because this was a horse who was pretty good at 2 years old overseas. And I remember in particular in the Albany Stakes at Royal Ascot, put in a very good effort. And as we know with the Europeans, as time goes on, they start stretching them out further and further along. And Simmering has been a little on the inconsistent side. Uh, had a very nice 1,000 guineas, got third, but didn't follow it up very well. Not a very good Irish 1,000 guineas, and a couple efforts after that weren't very good. But her last was a decent third, I thought, and she was extremely sharp out of the gate. I really noted that. I mean, she just blew to the front. I was very impressed with that. We'll see how she does over in the States. But I think this one has a little more quality than perhaps she's shown, and I'm willing to give her a chance. She did scratch out of a race last week to run here. And I think that's important too because this may be a more favorable situation in some respects than what she would have faced prior. So Simmering, I think we can use, and you're likely to get it at a halfway decent price. Candy Quest is a horse who has done pretty well for Mark Casse, but the thing is, if you go not forget about the Kentucky Downs race, but go the two races prior to that were higher graded stakes, and you'll note that the pace fractions, if you're looking at Brisnet, for Candy Quest was a horse who was really lingering at the back, going very slow early to have something late. Now, there's a couple of things that tells me usually. Is number one, either a horse is outclassed, or two, they can't get the distance, so they let them stroll at the back so they can have something late and maybe make one run. Well, if Candy Quest tries to do that here, she's really at a big disadvantage because of Fion and Destino de Oro, who I think are better horses and will also be coming late. You want to throw Candy Quest in, underneath. I mean, I suppose I could see it, but I really don't like her chances. I don't think the race sets up terribly well, especially since you're not going to have a whole lot of pace, and so I just think Candy Quest is at a disadvantage. Will then was a horse I had my eye on, and I have had my eye on, but really hasn't uh, taken that step forward. And the other thing, it's almost the inverse of Candy Quest. The last race, I think, Will then, the fractions were quicker than she normally runs, and it really didn't give her a whole lot left in the stretch. Prior to that, when she had been lingering at the back, she had a little bit more run, but that final fraction that she demonstrates shows that she really isn't going to be any challenge to the primary closers if, in fact, she's running late. So Will then would probably be one I would toss. I don't think Daisy Flyer is good enough. Really, just that's it for there. I mean, it's easy toss. Destino de Oro, I think, is one that is coming from Kentucky Downs, and we do have a few here who are, we know about that angle. Horses coming from Kentucky Downs are awful hard to take, but Destino d'Oro, I think, is getting back to a distance that she likes, 1.125 miles, and I think that's the most important thing. Probably a little too long for her last time, but in a good spot here. The tab looks fine. Looks like she's going to be ready to roll, so we'll put her in as a use under only. That would be the extent of it. You can't really knock Fion in any way, and I wouldn't certainly try. This is just a really, really good horse. I mean, that race against Nitrogen was absolutely breathtaking. How she didn't get a better speed figure than 90, a Brisnet number than 91 after running 144 and 3 for 1.125 miles is beyond me. This is a really, really good horse, and if it wasn't the type of scenario we have here, I would put Fion on top. Can absolutely win this. I wouldn't knock anybody who wants to take her. I think, to me, this is a two-horse race between Laurelin and Fion, and I just like Laurelin for the tactical position a little bit more than Fion. Looking at our wagering strategy, it's not going to be surprising. We're going to go Laurelin to win. Hopefully we'll get a halfway decent price, like 8-5 or something like that. We'll just have to see. That'll be the question. If the odds are too short, obviously we won't be betting to win, but exacta-wise, we're going to go 2.992. I think that's a no-brainer. And then we'll throw a 2 with 1 and 3 as sort of a saver if, in fact, Fion gets stuck in traffic. There are a lot of late runners here, and that is always the concern for closers when you have to pick your way through traffic, and you've got a lot of horses trying to do the same thing. So we'll go with 2 with 1-3 as a bit of a saver. Trifecta, 2.929 with 1.37, and then 2.9 with 1.37 with 2.9. That simple. I think this is a pretty straightforward race, and hopefully we can get, we want to be really exact on this one because it's, you have to choose one or the other. The only one I can see, those of you looking for maybe some kind of a long shot, I do see Lush Lips as one that, if in fact Laurelin is not at her best, Lush Lips could steal this, and that's one to watch. I would definitely be watching the paddock and watching the tote board for sure. But that's I think Laurelin can win this race and should. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And thanks to you for all of you who have supported our community. Starting to hear from more of you. I'm liking that as we approach the Breeders' Cup. And I'm sure we'll get more input from you guys as we get closer. we will. We're going to do the Maryland Million. We did it last year, and it was a really a fun day at Laurel. You know, we don't look at that track too often, but I think there's usually some really good races, and we will have a post for that. So be on the lookout. Again, it's a little light this week after such a big week of racing this prior weekend. Uh, and incidentally, I hope all of you had rhetorical in the Coolmore Turf Mile. We did end up with the superfecta there, which paid rather nicely, and it was a good race. So made up for some of those 2-year-old races that, as you know, are very unpredictable. And I think Ted Noppy was the only one who answered the call as a heavy favorite, and he certainly looks like he's going to be very dangerous as a 3-year-old. So anyway, more content coming. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.